Hey everybody, this is Tracy here for another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to recap Queen Sugar Season 2, Episode 2, which was titled To Usward. So the show, it wasn't as dramatic as the first episode, but it was a good episode because we're getting, a little more into the dynamics of what each character is going to bring this season. So Ralph Angel, shows up at Darla's job. I think he brought her something to eat and tried to ask her out for a date. But y'all know Darla working that parking garage where she's supposed to be taking that money when the people are exiting the parking lot. So people were blowing their horns, and I don't think she ever answered the question, or she finally said she would go after he refused to leave and the person behind him was blowing the horn. But I'm like, Ralph Angel, don't you mess around and make Darla lose her good government job. Like, you ain't rolling like that where you could be taking care of her if she finds herself on the unemployment line. Then Ralph Angel goes to the bank to get, well, actually before he went to the bank, he went to see a guy about buying them doggone soybean seeds. So the bill came to $3,200. So he goes over to the bank, and the guy, is talking to him, and he thinks he about to walk out of there with that money. But then the guy prints out this piece of paper and tells him that there was a new rule added to the account that says that Charley Bordelon West has signed off on everything. So Ralph Angel was too done, and so he was asking the guy, well, can you just make an exception this one time? And the guy was like, no, you need to get both signatures before I could give you the money. So of course he's all angry and upset, but Charley is like, she got to protect her interests. And Ralph Angel, as good of a heart that he has, he doesn't really have business sense, and he doesn't understand that, he'll be the messed around there and spent all the doggone money, $3,200 on the seed, and then last season he spent like, was it $15,000 he lost buying the bad stock. He would have went and got the trailer fixed, the tractor trailer fixed. So he really isn't one to be trusted with money. He just ain't there yet. Then rather than go and talk to Charley, about putting the requirement on the loan, so he goes over to the High Yellow to drop Blue off to Aunt Vi because he said he need to go take care of something. And then Aunt Vi, she was trying to figure out what was going on. Then Blue, said, well, he's taking my mommy out on a date tonight. So the two of them talked for a few minutes. Then he ends up having lunch with Remy. And I can't remember if he left the High Yellow to go meet Remy or if Remy was at the High Yellow. I blinked for a second and I done missed the whole little setup of a scene. So anyway, he's talking to Remy, and he's telling Remy now, he done told Aunt Vi about Charley putting the requirement on the account. Now he's telling Remy, and I guess he's telling Remy because he's thinking that him and Charley are still seeing each other and that he can talk to Charley. But then Remy lets him know that, he broke things off with Charley. And so then two of them get to talking, and, he's saying how, he thinks he has business sense and he can run the farm if Charley would just stay out of his way and let him handle things. So then Remy tells him that, he believes in him and he has no doubt that Ralph Angel could do it all on his own. So then he tells him about this loan program that they have for young black farmers and how they won't, take into consideration his credit or his, the fact that he has a prior conviction, and that he thinks he's a good candidate and that he should go ahead and try for the loan. So he's all excited and thinking, I'm going to get this loan and I'll be able to prove Charley wrong and show her, that I can handle business on my own. So then, okay, he was still at the High Yellow because then Nova came in. And so she's talking about, the community bail fund rally that she's hosting that Saturday night. And so she's asking Ralph Angel for some money, to contribute to the rally, for the expenses and to help the guys get bailed out of jail. And, actually they did something like that here. The Dream Defenders, our local chapter of Dream Defenders, did for Mother's Day, they bailed like 3 or 4 mothers out of jail. And basically what they do, if you're in jail on a misdemeanor and you can't afford to pay your bail, so you're just sitting there, you know, hoping that, and I think what happens is the longer you sit there, you get like time served and it chips away at the bond. So she's doing, so they did it for women on Mother's Day, and so that's what Nova's rally is all about. So Ralph Angel was looking at her like, girl, get out my face. I'm not contributing to that. And he's like, I ain't got time for that, Nova. And then he walks out of the restaurant. So I had been asking the question, since Darla is biking Blue's life, has he put that doggone filthy doll, that little Barbie doll he be carrying around with him, has he like put that doll away now that his mama is back? So no sooner than I posted that question on Twitter did he pull that doggone doll out again. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, will they please get rid of that doll? And so they're at the restaurant, you know, having dinner that night, and Blue climbing all over the bike of the booth and playing with the doll, banging it on the, you know, the high wood part of the booth. And Darla's looking all embarrassed, like, can you sit your behind down and stop acting the fool? So of course, you know, Ralph Angel let him do whatever he want to do and run all over the place and turn flips if he wants to. So Darla, you know, she's acting brand new, like I say, acting like she was embarrassed. And Ralph Angel tells her, you know, about he went and applied for the loan and he thinks he has a good chance of getting it. But I'm starting to think that Darla is manipulating Ralph Angel with the whole, let's take things slow and I'm not staying at your place anymore. I'm going to stay at my own place and let's build, you know, get ourselves on solid ground before we try to build a relationship. Because I really believe she's pissed off that he hasn't presented that letter that they found that gives him full charge of the farm. And so I think she's trying to manipulate Ralph Angel into getting to a point where she's going to finally break him down. He's going to be so desperate for her that she's going to say, okay, well, if you want me to be there, then you need to go and tell Charlie them that that farm belongs to you. So that's what I'm thinking Miss Darla's plot is, but we're going to play along with her. So while they were sitting there talking, the waiter came over and Blue playing with that little dirty doll. And the guy said, hey, fella, you know, why don't you upgrade that Barbie doll for a transformer? I was like, first of all, thank you. Thank you for putting it out there. But Mr. Waiter, man, you was dead wrong. Like, you had no business. Even if you was thinking it, you shouldn't have said it. But he said it. He put it out there, you know, so Blue was looking a little hurt. Ralph Angel was pissed off. And I think secretly Darla was like, thank you, Jesus. I'm glad somebody said it. So hopefully she'll go out tomorrow and buy him a transformer and try and switch them dolls out. And then hopefully we will, because I thought the reason Blue carried that doll around all the time was because it reminded him of Darla because she wasn't there. But now I'm thinking it's a deeper issue going on with that baby doll. So the waiter brings them the check, and then Ralph Angel, you know, he fiddling with his money, and Darla, you know, she says she'll pay for it, but he's like, no, you know, he bringing her on a date. So then after he puts the money on the table, Darla's like counting the money, and she looking at the check, and she like, oh, you didn't leave a tip. So then he gonna say, well, I'm not giving him a tip, you know, after he treated Blue that way. And then she was like, well, you still got to give the man a tip, because other than that comment, he did provide us with good service. And so he was looking like, oh, damn. Well, come to find out, Ralph Angel, you know, he balling on the budget, so he only had so much money. And Blue wanted an extra, I can't remember if Blue asked for that ice cream or if he ordered an extra ice cream, like to deflect from the guy asking about the doll. But anyway, there was an extra dessert on the bill that was the man tip money. So then I think Darla, you know, pulled out the money and gave the man the tip, and, you know, was telling Ralph Angel, like, you ain't got to be trying to impress me, and don't be spending all your money, you know, your last on me. Don't be doing that. So I was just like, Ralph Angel, come on now. You out here trying to spend $3,200 on some soybeans, and you can't even pay for you and your woman to have dinner at a diner? Like, dude, get yourself together. Then we move on to Nova, and remember, she's doing the bail money rally, community bail rally coming up. So she had took a can to the local barber shop, and so, you know, for the guys to do a collection. And when she went to pick it up, there was no money in the can, or it was just a couple of dollars in the can. So the barbershop owner, you know, was telling the guys, you know, this is a worthy cause. This is really important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the can back out, and then everybody, instead of paying the barber the tips, I guess he wanted them to put all the tips into the can, you know, so he lets Nova know that when she comes back, he guarantees that the can will be full. I just thought it was ironic that here we got Nova, you know, she done slept with Calvin, who was white. When the show came on yesterday, she was out in the garden, and then some white man came out who wasn't Calvin, that she done screwed the night before. And then at the end of the show, she screwed another white guy. So I said, they're like, you got a lot of damn nerve going up in that barbershop expecting all them black men to give you money for this bail, this community bail thing that you're doing. Ask some white men that you laying up with to make some donations to your fund, and you'll support what you're trying to do. And so then the barbershop guy, I think he was the owner, he was like trying to talk to Nova, and, you know, obviously has an interest in her, but she wasn't trying to give him the time of day. So when she came back later that day, the can was full, you know, so he tried again to let him know, you know, he was interested. And I think he said something about they had dated in the past before. And so I was just like, well, dang, Nova, you know, give the man a chance. You're out here giving everybody else, you know, the Nikki, give him some Nikki. You know, and he's supporting your cause and getting the brothers to donate. So why you acting like this, Miss Nova? So then we move over to Micah, and he's still dealing with the emotional aftermath of being arrested, and we can't blame him. And I'm just like, this poor baby. He is about to go through it for real. And so Nova goes into the bedroom to talk to him and let him know, you know, that she has his back no matter what, and that they can talk about anything. And I'm like, Micah is drowning under all the changes that are taking place in his life, but his parents are so self-consumed that they can't even throw him a life raft. Like, it's got to be hard. Like, you know, we're from this life where you living in California in a mansion, your dad's a star basketball player, and then your world just come crashing down. You end up in this new environment that you're trying to adjust to. Then you have this black man police experience, and your parents are still bickering and fighting over money and houses and vacations and all this stuff. And I'm thinking, like, can they just stop for 1 minute and give their undivided attention to their child before they lose him for real? So Davis and Charley have one last mediation hearing, and Charley's going to go to that after she drops Micah off at school. So when she tells Nova and Aunt Vi, they were like, oh girl, we going with you. And so she's like, yeah, I can't be rolling up there in the lawyer's office acting ghetto and acting a fool. You done already been escorted out the club by security. You're not going to embarrass me like this again. So then they ask her, you know, how is Micah doing? You know, but Charley is just too focused on that loan where she done forged Davis' name and hoping that don't nobody find out about it. So she tells Nova that she thinks she'll know something in a couple of weeks, I think she said. And so she moving forward with that and just praying to God that Davis don't find out. So then she's at the meeting, and Davis, you know, says that he wants to talk to Charley alone without the lawyers and the moderator. So they're telling him, like, no, you can't do that. This is the final meeting, and you know you guys aren't supposed to be communicating with each other until all of this is resolved. And so Davis was like, you know, please, we need some time alone. I need to talk to her alone. So I'm thinking Mr. Davis doesn't have a change of heart, or he ready to, because I think somebody had left a comment on last night's episode. Yeah, I think it was on last night's episode that she thought that the reason Davis is acting the way he is and the reason he brought the prostitute to New Orleans is he's trying to get back at Charley. Because remember on the, I think it was the season finale last year, or last season, when Charley tricked him into signing with the New Orleans team by telling him that they were going to get back together, and he really wanted to get back with her. So maybe he's using the Elena girl to make Charley jealous and get her to come back. So I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe that's what's going on, and he's about to play his hand and tell Charley he doesn't want a divorce. And so Charley, you know, she's immediately like, so he starts it off by saying that, you know, everything that we have, we got it together. You know, we built this brand. We were this power couple. You know, we were a partnership and we did all this together. So I'm like, yeah, Davis, you know, tell her, y'all work this out. Charley started talking about, is this about houses? Like, what do you want? Do you want the house in Aspen, the house in California? And so he was like, well, you think this is what this is all about? It's about things? So he throws his folder to her, like, here, you choose what you want. You take whatever you want. And she was like, well, okay, fine, I will. But how about this Negro, instead of saying he wanted them to get back together and work things out and, you know, be bigger, better, and stronger and richer, he tells her that he done talked to Micah and that he done decided that after this incident with the police and all that, that he needs to have joint custody of Micah and he needs to help raise Micah. And he doesn't want just weekend visits. He wants Micah living with him part-time. And Charley almost flips her lid and they get to arguing, and then the lawyers and the mediator run back in like, what's going on? What's going on? But Charley was too through. She grabbed her pocketbook and her little folder and got ghost real quick, like we not even entertaining this conversation. So then she ends up going to Micah's school because she can't believe that Micah then talked to Davis and told Davis that he wants to come live with him part-time and didn't tell her about it. So she goes to his school, but he isn't there. So it turns out that Mr. Micah then skipped school. So this boy out there wandering the streets of New Orleans, and I'm thinking this ain't going to end too well, because when I tell y'all, I went to the Essence Festival one year with some friends. Well, I mean, I've gone several years, but this one particular year, I felt like I had got comfortable enough in New Orleans that I could venture out on my own. So it was, I think it was the day that we were leaving and my friends were still in the bed. So I said, well, I'm gonna get up because we stay in the French Quarter. We go to the convention center for the seminars. We go to the Superdome for the concerts, and then we just bike in the French Quarter. So I say, so I'm going to venture out and go walk around. So I was walking down this street, and you know, I'm from Florida, and we speak to people. Hey, how you doing? So I'm walking down the street, and there was a bunch of people like sitting along, I don't know if it was like a little planter-like area, but they were sitting along this wall. And I think it was a beauty salon, and there was some people sitting outside the beauty salon. And I think the other people might have been waiting for the city bus or something. So they were sitting out there. I walked down the street. I'm like, good morning, y'all. How y'all doing? So they was looking at me all crazy and stuff. And I said, well, dang, y'all not going to speak? Like, what's going on? So then they still was looking at me like, bitch, who do you think you talking to? And I'm just like saying good morning. And so then one of the ladies said, she ain't from here. She don't know no better. Just ignore her and don't pay her no attention. And I was just like, oh my God. Like all I did was say good morning. So I'm sitting there thinking about that incident while Michael walking down the street looking scared. And then he's reading the little stickers that Nova got plastered all over everywhere about her little bell rally that she's hosting. So then Michael tries to get on the city bus. So he had this little, I don't know if it was a credit card or what Michael was trying to get that woman, but she was like, you need the Jazz Pass. And so he was like, oh, and then he said, well, how much is it to ride the bus? So she said $1.25. So Michael started digging through his book bag. So she was like, boy, can you get out the way and let the paying customers get on the bus? So then Michael gets off the bus and he's digging through his book bag. The lady closed that door and drove off and left Michael standing out there. So then he just starts walking around and he ends up in a neighborhood, and there are some guys, you know, looking a little thuggish, and they walking down the street. And I think that was at the point when it struck Micah that, okay, you might not need to be out here by yourself. So he finally ended up at the rally that Nova had, but it was like late at night. At this point, it was dark outside, and I'm like, thank God he done got the safety. Back at the house, you know, Charley is about to lose her mind because she don't know where Micah is. When they talked on the phone, he was like, just leave him alone. he needs some time alone, you know, let him grow up on his own. So she can't call him. So she ends up calling her mom, but she gets her mom's voicemail. And then I'm wondering if we're going to be introduced to the mother, you know, during this season, if she's going to play a role. So then Charley leaves a message for her, you know, saying that she just wanted to talk. So after that, she ends up going to Remy's house. And I'm thinking, now Remy done told you leave him alone. So I don't know why you keep wanting to bother him. But then, you know, she ends up going over there, and then Remy answers the door, and he tells her that it was the anniversary of his wife passing away, and he usually spends the day alone, but then he go ahead and let Charley come inside. So while they're talking, and I think he gave her some kind of dessert or something, and they have coffee, he explains to her that his wife was in the military and that she was serving over in Afghanistan, and that the truck that she was riding in hit a one of those explosive devices and blew up the truck, and that was how she died. And so y'all know how I am about these storylines that be repetitive of other shows that been aired during the same season. So remember on BET's Rebel, we had the situation where they had been served over in Afghanistan, and now the girl got, you know, the PTSD. Then we had Shots Fired, which was on Fox, where the character Ash had been in the military, and her man Javier had been served over there in Afghanistan. So here we go with Queen Sugar, where we got to run that same storyline with, you know, the black folks serving over there in Afghanistan and getting blown up and everything. So I'm like, come on, we need some originality here. So then we move on to Aunt Vi. So Aunt Vi, you know, she's over at the High Yellow, and she's talking to Roberta. And so Roberta looking all sad, like somebody done died, and Aunt Vi like, girl, what's wrong? What's going on? So she's like, well, I don't know how to tell you. I just don't know how to tell you. I don't know what to say. So Aunt Vi was like, well, just say it, girl. What's going on? So there was a couple that had came into the restaurant, and they told Roberta that there had been an electrical fire on the rig that Hollywood is working on, and that there was some kind of explosion, but she didn't know, like, if anybody was killed or anything. So honey, Aunt Vi got up out of there and went over to wherever they be dropping them Negroes on when they come off that rig. And so it was this old school bus that had been painted gray, and so all these guys was getting off the school bus, and so Aunt Vi standing there, she getting all nervous. That bus was empty, and then I was getting all nervous, like, Hollywood, you better be on that bus, you better be on that bus. So I think he was like second to last, you know, to get off the bus. And when she saw him, honey, she took off running and jumped in Hollywood's arms and gave him a hug and some sugar. And I'm like, that's right, Aunt Vi, the devil is a liar that is here to steal and take everything you got, but you don't give the devil your joy. And now that you got Hollywood back, you better treat him right, girl, and don't be letting nobody come between y'all. You know, God giving y'all a second chance. So then we go over, and it's, you know, time for Nova's rally, and the guy, I'm pretty sure, 99.9% sure that the guy that was up speaking was the guy from the barbershop. And so he was telling the story about how he was arrested on a misdemeanor charge, and that his bond was $800, but he didn't have the $800, and so he had to sit there in jail. And while he was there, he ended up losing his apartment, and then his woman left and took the baby with him, and how it just destroyed his life. And he was so grateful for Nova and this, you know, thing that she was doing to help raise money for men, you know, who need bail and can't pay their bail, you know, because how the system is designed to get them stuck in jail, and then they'll be trying to add other charges to you and all this stuff. And so then Nova, you know, she gets on the mic and she starts, you know, giving her speech and everything. And she was sounding so much like Rebel. I don't know if y'all ever watched that stupid show. It was John Singleton's show that aired on BET. It started out good, but halfway through I stopped recapping it because it was just getting so crazy. But at the end of her show, she would do these spoken word pieces. She would go to this bar and do spoken words. And that's who Nova was sounding like when she was up there talking. You know, she was speaking in what they call it, haikus, where it's like 5 lines with 7 words, whatever. But she just wasn't sounding natural to me when she was up there speaking. So when she came down, you know, off the podium, she saw Micah, and so she went over to Micah. You know, he was telling her that he was just wandering around the city and he's lost and he feels so confused and he doesn't know what to do. You know, so Nova hugged him and told him everything was going to be all right. And we see on next week's episode that Micah gonna still be going through some things and going into a deep depression. But I do believe when Micah come out that depression, it's gonna be power to the people, and that he gonna go full Black Panther on all of us. But we'll have to wait and see. So guys, that was it for me. Let me know what you thought about the show. Let me know if I messed something up, if I forgot to talk about something. Tell me what you liked about the show. But leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I should talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.